So it's just about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, and welcome to those of you, good morning to those of you on the West Coast. I think we're going to get started now. Few housekeeping notes for everybody. All of your cameras are off and all of your microphones are off because we are in a conference setting to avoid some background noise. However, the questions panel is always available at all times. So if you have any questions or comments or you'd like to share with us, or you would like to reach out to us, please feel free to go to your questions panel and text us your questions. We'll be monitoring them throughout, and we'd be happy to respond to your questions at the end of our little presentation. And everybody will be receiving a little bit later today a copy of this, or the recording of this presentation. So hopefully that works for everybody. So welcome everybody. Let me introduce myself and my co-presenters today. My name is Sandie Sparkman. I'm Executive Vice President of Client Solutions at Leger. I am also joined by my colleague Isabelle Blanchet, who is our VP of Customer Experience at our LEGER'S team, and our partner Yasmin Beddek, Enterprise Account Director from Qualtrics. So we're going to all be chatting with you today to tell you a little bit more about our wonderful Leger and Qualtrics partnership. So today's agenda is really to tell you a quick overview of who is Leger, who is Qualtrics, and then why did we decide to partner together, and then what the role is for each of our companies and how we work together to benefit our clients and to be able to provide our clients with a best of both worlds approach. So who is Leger, for those of you who may not know? Leger is actually the largest Canadian-owned market research company in Canada. We are very well known for our polling, as well as, of course, our 35 years of experience in market research and our analytics team that is all part of our organization. So what makes us different than, for example, some of our competitors? The first thing is that we have 8 offices across Canada and 1 in the United States. We think that this offers you the best of both worlds. So you have that local expertise that really helps and knows and understands your market, knows and understands the province that you work in or across Canada, but you also get to benefit from expertise right across all of our offices and all of our teams across Leger. So if we have sectorial expertise, if we have geographic expertise, you benefit from both. What's also interesting is that since we've been around for over 35 years, we've probably done just about every type of market research mandate that you can imagine and worked in just about every single sector. So this really allows us to learn from the different mandates that we've done and be able to offer new and better turnkey solutions for our clients. We're a one-stop shop. What does that mean? We're actually the only fully integrated market research company in Canada that offers everything under one roof in Canada by the same company. Nothing is outsourced, everything is internal. This really gives us a full capabilities from A to Z in accompanying our clients. We have our own call centers. We have in Montreal, in Winnipeg, and Vancouver. We have our own focus group facilities. We have our own online panel, which is actually one of the largest proprietary panels in all of Canada. We have our own operations team in-house. We have all of our research expertise in-house, which really allows us to cover the whole gamut of research needs, as well as some of the newer technologies that we're bringing into the methodology for market research. And we are the most accurate polling firm in Canada, which talks about our accuracy, which talks about the benefits of working with a company that is quite representative across the market, and also allows you to stay in confidence that the information that you're getting and the data you're receiving is really representative and allows you to make the concrete decisions that you need to make on a regular basis. So today we want to focus a little bit more on our Leger MetriCX division. So what is our CX division? Our CX division really focuses on the customer experience, and it really looks at 3 different areas. We look at our consulting services by our CCXP professional team, and the technologies that we offer, so our online community technologies, as well as today we're going to talk about the customer experience platforms and our partnership with the Qualtrics technology. So let me pass it over to Yasmin from Qualtrics, who will tell you a little bit more about the Qualtrics platform and the Qualtrics company.
Okay, thanks, Sandie. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
All right, so good afternoon, everyone. Allow me to begin. So Sandie already introduced me. I'm Yasmin, I'm with Qualtrics. I'd like to begin by telling you a little story about the evolution of the birthday cake and the way the evolution of the birthday cake relates to the evolution of different economies over time. During the agrarian economy, mothers use farm ingredients, raw products from the farm like eggs, flour, grains to make birthday cakes for their families from scratch. And that cost close to nothing. Later on, with the industrial economy, people were purchasing Betty Crocker kits to make their birthday cakes, and that cost $1 to $2. And not too long ago, my parents went to the bakery to buy birthday cakes for my sister and for me, and it cost maybe, I don't know, $20, $30, and that was 10 times more the cost of a Betty Crocker kit. That was the service economy. And last year, before everything was shut down, when my son turned 4, I neither made the cake nor threw the party, and instead I used the services of a facility that planned the party, took care of the clown, the cake, the balloons. The cake kind of came with it. And so what they did is they created a memorable experience for the kids and an easy experience for the parents, and it cost around $200, and so that was 10 times more the price of the bakery cake. And I tell you this story because today we are all constrained for time, and we're willing to pay more for experiences that are memorable, simple, easy, efficient, and differentiated. Sandie, if you want to go to the next slide. So my name is Yasmin Beddek. I'm with Qualtrics. Qualtrics is a market leader in experience management. It's an experience management platform. And today we're going to be talking about how Qualtrics, along with the services from LEGER'S, can help you deliver these elevated, differentiated experiences for your customers or your customers' customers in the B2B space. Qualtrics has many, many offices across the globe. We have over 2 million customers, many of them large customers, but we also deal with mom and pop shops. We have an approach that is very, very flexible and scalable, and I know that Isabelle is going to be talking about that a little bit later. And we have employees in Montreal across different geographies. I'm here in Quebec, I'm fully bilingual, but we also have people in Toronto, in Vancouver, really across Canada, covering our customers across different industries and across different areas of the geographies in Canada. So when we talk about Qualtrics, when we talk about experience, and when we talk about our customers across different industries, regardless of the industry, our clients tell us that they want to do 3 things. They want to connect with their own customers. They want to be able to innovate quickly. They want to be agile to innovate around the products and the services that they offer. And they also want to be able to better collaborate internally, but also externally with their own customers, with their suppliers, with their networks of different partners and stakeholders. And at the same time, they tell us that they're facing so many external pressures. Customers' expectations are rising. We're facing a phenomenon that Bain calls the experience gap, and that is described with the following statistic. 80% of CEOs believe they're delivering great experiences, but only 8% of their customers agree. And we call it the experience gap. And I like to define it as a gap in trust, a gap in personalization, and a gap in consistency. As you know, delivering a consistently good experience is much better than delivering a wow experience once in a while. Consistency is important. And at the same time, organizations are faced with different external pressures. There's changes in regulations. Today it's COVID, but 10 years ago it was the financial crisis, environmental changes, technology changes. Technologies are reaching maturity faster and faster. They're becoming commoditized, and so competitors are entering the market overnight. They're disrupting entire industries. Think of aggregator platforms in the insurance industry, for example, or du proprio and real estate, and there's many others. And so to innovate, to connect with customers, it's super important to be able to collaborate effectively internally, but also externally. And I'll get back to the different competencies that are required a little bit later. No, go back to the other slide, please. So that's where experience management comes in. It's the concept of capturing the operational data that sits in your systems of record today your CRM system, your service system, all of the data that you already have a ton of today, but then capturing the experience data through Qualtrics. And that is an additional dimension of information that is going to tell you why things are happening. So operational data tells you what's happening. Are your sales increasing or decreasing? Are your customers churning? It's that data that you already have. Experience data relates to people's beliefs, feelings, and emotions, and will tell you why things are happening. And so it allows you to act faster because you see faster, and kind of make decisions that are data-driven instead of gut feel based. And so once you have captured all of this, it's important to have the analytical capabilities to generate insights, and then to create concrete action plans to bring those detractors back into promoters, and to do that across the 4 core experiences of business. That's why we say Qualtrics is an experience management platform. It allows you to measure experiences, derive insights, and take action across the 4 core experiences of business: customer, employee, brand, and product. And today we're going to be focusing on customer, like Sandie mentioned before. Go ahead, Sandie, to the next slide, please. So it becomes crucial once you've captured the data to have the ability to propagate all of these insights that we've captured within the organization, to be able to continuously learn, to be able to rapidly adapt, to be able to drive that innovation around products and services, not only in a reactive way, but in a way that allows you to be predictive as it relates to the behaviors that you're looking to influence to create those great experiences that you're looking to create. And so last but not least, every transformation is really a human transformation. That's where the Experience Management Institute comes in. That's where our partners like LEGER'S come in. Technology is necessary, but it's not sufficient. It's super important to have the ability to build the right competencies within your organizations. And those competencies are enabled by technology, and they're nurtured by culture. As an example, so we have the 6 competencies here, and each competency kind of explodes into a set of skills, right? So if you grab the lead competency, creating a multi-level governance model is part of a lead competency. Having the skills and the ability to do that within your organization is extremely important, because you need to be able to track the maturity of your program, drive continuous improvement, etc. And so we have the Experience Management Institute at Qualtrics that was that is formerly the Temkin Group. Qualtrics acquired the Temkin Group, founded by Bruce Temkin, who's kind of the father of experience management, a couple of years ago, and his team still works really closely with us to be able to drive thought leadership, to write different articles, and to really help our customers develop the different competencies and make sure they nurture the right culture, a mission-based culture within their organizations to drive better experiences. And so how do we do all of this? It's a lot, right? So we have some resources internally, but we do scale through our partner ecosystem. We're super excited to have LEGER'S as a partner. They have 30+ years of experience in everything customer experience, market research. They know Canada really, really well. They have vertical industry experience, as well as geographical experience across the different regions of Canada. And we have different mechanisms to work with our partners. And to select them. And so we're super excited to have the best of the best with us to help our customers create these great experiences. Next slide, please. So the last couple of things that I want to mention about Qualtrics, and I did that earlier, is really, we're growing really, really fast, and to support that growth, we are growing internally, but we're also growing our partner ecosystem. We're relying heavily on the different the expertise that our partners have when it comes to experience design and experience management. And I know Isabelle and others within LEGER'S are CCXP certified. And if you go to the next slide, we deliver great experiences to our customers as well. Super proud to say that Qualtrics has one of the highest NPS scores in the industry. And so we make sure that our customers also have great experiences, and that they want to stay with us, and that we put our customers and our employees at the center, and our partners at the center of everything as well. That's it for me.
Thanks, Yasmin. So what does that bring us to? Our partnership. So what does this mean? What does this look like? How does Leger and Qualtrics work together to provide the best solutions for clients? So at our Leger MetriCX division, we really focus on 3 different areas: the technological services, managed services, and the CX advisory services. Within that team, we have different project leads and different team members that focus on the different areas, and they are Qualtrics certified, and that's key. So if any of you are already working on Qualtrics or have done any type of training on Qualtrics, just to get to the first levels of certification, I think it's over 40 hours of training. So these are people who are certified certified by Qualtrics. And so we start with our project lead. A project lead is a person that would be, for example, your single point of contact for our clients. So anything, all requests, any conversations, anything always gets funneled through a project lead. This means that you're assured that you always have the one person who takes care of the client, knows the client, and is basically their end goal is to ensure an overall success of your program. Then we get into the configuration experts, and their expertise is really configuring the platform itself. So it could be anything from a basic configuration, so for example, a standard configuration, to a fully customized configuration. And what does that look like? So it's, programming the surveys, building the dashboards, helping you with some platform integrations. And then we have the CX experts. So Isabelle and her team, who can advise you on your CX strategy, work with our research teams to help you do the journey mapping and build your program, build out your program and your program design. And then we have the IT solution architects, which actually work with our clients to, for example, integrate other data sources, or for example, if you need to integrate other systems that you have in-house, and make everything work together. So anytime when we're looking at APIs or custom integrations, that's when our solution architects would be part of the picture as well. So what can we do as part of that technology services? We really can do it all, and it really depends on our clients' needs. So sometimes for clients, what they need is really help just planning it out, planning and scoping out what technology services they're going to need. What does this look like? There's many, many steps to ensure a successful program, and that's the very first step. So it could include anything from configuring user accounts, creating the actual surveys, so actually programming the surveys for you, building the dashboards. Are they role-based dashboard? What type of hierarchy do you have? How do we follow your organization's hierarchy? What information is shared with whom? Closed loop configuration is also something that's very important when you're looking at a customer experience platform. What does it look like? How do we program it? What are the triggers? Also, what is the invitation method? Are we sending by email? Is it by SMS? Do we have contact lists? Where are we getting the respondents from? So everything that has to do really with the, with the implementation and configuration of Qualtrics is a service that we can offer to you and accompany you with. The other one is our managed services. So managed services, think of this as more of a continuous planning. So you can take the technology services up front, and then you can work on your own. We can continue to work, or we can continue to work with you for the life cycle of your project. Managed services, for example, could be things like looking at the roadmap and how do we improve it on a regular basis? How do we get to the next step? What does it look like to integrate, for example, another division? What KPIs should we be measuring? What does that look like? Have you obtained your objective? Quick pulses, see what's going on. Do we need to refresh the survey or the dashboard design? What about quota management? Is there any automation that we can program? Text analytics is also very interesting that we need to focus on. So if you opt for text analytics, as you know, text analytics out of the box is not always perfect. It takes a little bit of time to train it, to work with it, to be able to get really the actual insights that you need. So this is also a service that on an ongoing basis, we can help accompany you with. Since we do work in Canada, having surveys in both French and English is very important in many cases. So what is survey translation? Is that necessary for you, and can we help you? And don't forget training. So again, we can train you on how not only the technical technical side of it, but how do we use my platform? How do I access the data in a beneficial way that allows me for it to be actionable? So ongoing training as well. So managed services really can be end-to-end. They can also be turnkey, so all included, but it can also be on a continuous basis. And for the third part, I'm going to pass it off to my colleague Isabelle, who's going to talk to you a little bit more about the CX advisory services that we have and how we can accompany you with those.
Thanks, Sandie. And yes, for the CX advisory services, it's a bit like the managed services. So you'll see in a couple of slides that you can have it fully turnkey or as needed. So really what I pictured here is based on the Qualtrics evolution of the VOC program. So from the moment that you evaluate if you should get involved with a VOC program, what should it look like? What's the extent that we want to make it? Do we cover all of our channels? Which one? Do we go in phases, etc.? So the first line is really to show the evolution from evaluation. Once you're decided on what you want to achieve, so the design, the delivery from the managed and the technical services that Sandie described, and of course not forgetting the evolution of the program itself. So at the different stages there are important reflections or key activities to take place to make sure that you really want to spend your money wisely and make it worthwhile. So it's one thing to have to choose Qualtrics as one of the best platforms to manage your VOC program, but it's also key to make sure that whatever program you build within this platform is going to give you the insight that's going to help you make a difference in your customers' journey and life with your brand. So do you know what your brand promise is? Do you make sure, how do you make sure that the questions that you're going to ask are going to give you the insight to validate if you are delivering on your brand promise, and not necessarily taking the questions to cover different aspects that are not necessarily critical to your customer experience? What is the best moment within the customer journey where you should solicit your customer for their feedback and opinion on your brand and their experience with it? So all of that is something that you can do internally if you have the resources, the time, the skills, the luxury of planning everything. But sometimes we need to be there, so we need some of the steps to be done in parallel. So this is where we can join you and guide you within that mapping of the customer journey, and designing the program so that you have the proper segment and you know who to solicit feedback from, when in their customer journey to do it, not to over solicit them, and make sure that you solicit them at a moment that is a moment of truth. So what we call a moment where the interaction is a make or break. So there are moments in the journey where if you don't do as well, you know, your customers are willing to forgive you, but there are moments that are critical, and unfortunately you're going to lose that loyalty and that respect from your customer. So all that first key steps at driving you to the design, where after that some of the colleagues from the technical and the managed services jump in to actually build your program within the platform. And then also, while this is being done, CX advisory services can also help you to implement and deploy and prepare everybody in the organization for that customer-centric organization. Because for some, it's going to change their reality. Now that you're going to get the feedback, it means that your manager might have some things to work with you from a frontline perspective, maybe within the way you deliver things, the way you complete your actions, or through attitude adjustments. So everything is going to be pointed out from the customer. So the organization needs to be ready to hear about it. And again, to make all of your investments worth it within a VOC program, you want to make sure that you have some sort of a governance committee internally, and that you're and through cross business unit, you are able to discuss the results from CX feedback, and also quantify the benefit and the positive impacts that the adjustments that you're making, whether it's short term with your employees or mid to longer term by upgrading processes, changing some of the policies, adjusting, introducing new technology. All of that is key to make sure that your CX program, and mostly the VOC platform like Qualtrics, that's going to give you tons of great insights, is going to be worthwhile. So to the next slide is just kind of a visual summary of, because sometimes we say, okay, but consulting services, do I really get something out of that? And so this is just visual representation of how it can take place, whether to the left it's to show you the journey you thought internally. So the second row where you have all the many steps, but at the very top is just the perception of the journey from your customers. So through that, building the key moments and the feedback calendar. So when in the relation you're gonna have your communications, and through which means you're gonna solicit. Is it from emails, from text, from telephone? How are you gonna capture the feedback? After that, as I said, once you get their attention, you want to be pertinent and have specific questions. So some insights that you want to have throughout the journey, but some specific and be consequent with the moment and the evolution of the journey. So what are the key questionnaires that you're going to have throughout those different solicitations? It can be very technical, so at the bottom left you have an example of a blueprint, so we can design for you. This is how things are going to happen throughout the journey. What are the triggers to send the connection between your systems and Qualtrics platform, have a service sent, how it's going to come back within your CRM, etc. And finally, an example of a closed loop program. So how are you going to equip and structure your team and your organization internally to make sure that there will be follow-ups on the feedback, whether it's, again, on the inner loop, which is the quick fixes, and on the outer loop, which is more in terms, as I referred to, the governance committee. So to make sure there's a longer term picture, and that we take note of the opportunities flagged by our customers and act on it. So that's pretty much how the CX advisory services portion come into play.
Thanks, Isabelle. So really, this all comes down to, we're here to work with you in the way that you would like to work. So we can take the first step, which is we built it with you. This is much more towards a fully autonomous type of relationship where our clients want to be independent. But for example, you might need some help initially with the configuration and implementation of the actual technology, perhaps some additional training. You might also want to benefit from some of the CX advisory services up front. And then once we built that roadmap for you and implemented it, then you're off on your own and you're happy to manage it throughout the year, and then as needed come back and speak to us. And then at the other extreme, we have solutions where we can do all of those different steps that Isabelle talked about, and we really turn this into a turnkey approach. This is really where we bring in all of our expertise from all of the different positions, research, CX advisory, technical, and even integration implementation, where we would customize your full implementation and technical configuration, as well as highlight the areas of improvement for your CX program and follow you on a continuous basis throughout the year to include those managed services. So for example, maintaining, doing pulse checks, improvement, etc. And then of course, something in between. So really, we are here to offer you different solutions, different areas of our expertise, and how you can benefit really from a win-win situation. We think having the best technology with the best partner really makes it a win-win for all of us. And so that's it for our formal part of our presentation today. Please feel free if you have any questions to include them in the chat. And Isabelle, I believe, is monitoring them just in case we have any questions.
Yes, I don't have any at the moment written. You can also raise your hand and I can unmute you if you prefer to just have a quick discussion or exchange on anything you're wondering or that wasn't clear enough for you.
So I know that some people who've registered do not have Qualtrics and we're interested in what this could look like. Others already are working on the Qualtrics platform. Others are already clients of LEGER'S and we're interested in what this could look like. So everybody's at a different maturity level, I think, as well in their CX journey. And I think that's the key takeaway, is that we have different solutions and different offers to accompany you at every step of the way. And if you have any questions and you feel you would prefer to reach out to us privately, feel free. You'll be receiving this recording in the next little while with our contact information. We'll just give it 1 or 2 more minutes to see if anybody is courageous enough to ask a question in front of everybody. You know? Okay, then we won't keep you anymore. We want to thank you very much for your time today. We look forward to having one-on-one chats with all of you. And I want to thank Yasmin from Qualtrics for joining us today. And of course, my colleague, Isabelle, I think. And we hope everybody has a wonderful day.